Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Friday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Paul Dottino and Matt Citak with you as the Giants prepare for Monday Night Football in Foxborough against the New England Patriots, a team that is 10-2 and has won 9 in a row. And, of course, this is also a big game for the Giants in that we know Charlie Bullen, the outside linebackers coach, will make his debut as a defensive coordinator. We just heard from him a few minutes ago. He told us he's never called plays before. So that could be certainly a very interesting facet of this game. If you're not listening to us live, you can catch our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcasts. We come to you from the Giants podcast studio presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Now, the only thing we got out of offensive coordinator Tim Kelly regarding Jaxson Dart, as you folks know, he did clear concussion protocol yesterday, is that he is cleared and they are trying to get him ready. Mike Kafka, the Giants head coach, will talk in about 20 minutes right before practice, and he will make any lineup announcements that are going to have to be made. So at the moment, we cannot tell you if Jaxson Dart is starting in New England, and I just want to be very clear about that because I'm sure a lot of people are making assumptions both ways.
Yeah, so in the second half of the show, we might be able to talk a little bit more about it if Kafka, announces that Jaxson is starting, but as of now, we don't know with 100% certainty, so we don't want to speak as if it's going to happen, and then 20 minutes from now, Kafka surprise us and say it's not happening. So, but it's good that he's obviously cleared the protocol. We thought it was trending in this direction when on Wednesday, Kafka told the media that he would be a full participant, which typically is the last stage before a player clears the protocol. So it's good to see that he has just progressed his way through and is, at least health-wise, clear to return. Because as we've seen, right now in Houston, C.J. Stroud missed 3 games because of a concussion. So obviously concussions are nothing to, mess around with. So it's just good to see that he's been medically cleared and good to go in that regard.
Now, the other 2 players that we'll be keeping an eye on specifically today, Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence. We do not have any information about what their status may be right now. Again, Coach Kafka may also say something about practice, whether or not they're expected to work, maybe limited, maybe full, maybe not at all. We don't know the answer to that yet, but those 2 guys certainly are very important. If Charlie Bullen's going to go into his first game as a coordinator, I know we'd love to have those guys in the lineup.
Of course. Those are 2 of the Giants' top defenders. Now, yesterday was obviously Thanksgiving Day. The Giants did not actually hold a practice, but since the game is on Monday, the Giants had to submit their first official injury report of the week. So yesterday's injury report was a projection, but it was projected that both Dexter and Kayvon would not have participated. Kayvon's obviously missed the last 2 games with a shoulder injury. Dexter, clearly something happened during last week's game. He didn't play quite as much as we were accustomed to seeing in this, second half of the game. Obviously, he wasn't on the field for the big Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown run in overtime. And Mike Kafka has since told us that the elbow injury that caused him to miss the last chunk of last season, he, somewhat banged it up again. It's the same elbow. He's been listed on the injury report this week with that elbow. It's the same elbow. So I think that's why the Giants are going to be extra cautious with that, because it is the same injury that he just hurt last year and forced him to miss the last 5 games of the season. We'll see if he's able to get back on the practice field today or tomorrow. I would think for either of, maybe not Kayvon because he's missed 2 weeks now, but if Dexter is able to get on the practice field in any capacity today or tomorrow, I think that would put him in a good trend him in the right direction towards suiting up on Monday. But it remains to be seen. We got to keep an eye out for the injury report.
2 injuries that we are not just looking at, but we know are going to be a factor for the Patriots. The left side of their offensive line.
Yeah.
They've already come out and said it. Will Campbell's on injury reserve. Okay, he's got an MCL. There's a no-brainer there. He's on IR. He's not playing this Monday night. And nor is Jared Wilson, their starting left guard, who has a high ankle sprain. And Coach Mike Vrabel already said yesterday, he's not playing Monday night. He's already said it. He's out.
The initial news with Wilson was, the Patriots were quite relieved that they did not have to put him on injured reserve. But that injury just happened less than a week ago. So even if Mike Vrabel had not said it yesterday that he would be out, I would say there would have been a 99.9% chance that Jared Wilson would have been out anyway. So they are down their whole starting left side of the offensive line. And so they have I got to pull up their depth chart real quick, but their backup left guard,
Ben Brown, is a journeyman.
Yeah.
Real journeyman in the truest sense of the word. In fact, last year, he was a center, a starting center for them for over half of the season. He did allow 1.5 sacks during that time period. And Vidarian Lowe, who they got from the Vikes, is going to be their starting left tackle. Last season, he allowed 5 sacks and was penalized 13 times. Suffice it to say, if you know anything about the Patriots this year, their offensive line has not been very good. They've won in spite of them. And now, and also if you look at their play direction charts, they don't have much success running to the left side. And now their starting left guard and left tackle are unavailable. If you're the Giants defense, you have to like your chances to at least be able to diagnose what they're going to do offensively, because this is a big problem for them. They are strictly a heavy right-handed running team. That's just the way they have been all season. It's not going to change with Subs playing the left side of the line.
No, definitely not. And if you look at Drake May's stats, the last 3 games, he's only been sacked 1 time in each game. Which, if you just look at that, across the whole season, that would be fantastic for an offensive line. The 2 games before that, though, against Atlanta and Cleveland, which I will say, obviously, Cleveland, Myles Garrett, tremendous defense, but he got sacked 6 times in each of those games.
Yes.
So while the last 3 weeks might look good, the 3 weeks before that, because before the Cleveland game, he got sacked 4 times against the Titans. This offensive line has struggled to protect Drake May. As good of a season as Drake May is having, and he's obviously in the MVP conversation right now, the offensive line has not really done him many favors this season. And as you mentioned, I can't imagine it's going to get much better when you lose your starting left tackle and your starting left guard. This is I feel like I've said this several times over the last month or two, but this is a prime opportunity for Abdul Carter to really, first of all, to get that first sack of the season, hopefully even more, because as we know, Brian Burns typically lines up on the left edge, which makes him line up against the right tackle.
Well,
That's where he's primarily lined up.
Yeah, part of the problem is they do juggle their 3 pass rushers a lot, and without Kayvon, it's kind of changed things a little too.
But Burns has has taken most of his snaps, at least.
I don't have the breakdown. I don't know what the actual play breakdown is.
Before this past week, it was a majority. I'm not, maybe last week changed it a little bit. But regardless, Abdul Carter is going to have a great opportunity to hopefully pick up his first full sack of his career, of the season. Darius Alexander just did that last week. Got his first 2.
Well, remember, hopefully Morgan Moses is the right tackle. Remember that, too. He's been around a long time.
He's a proven veteran.
He's a proven veteran, but to be honest, I mean, even the Jets got rid of him.
Yeah, proven veteran. I'm not saying he's a proven all-pro veteran, but he's a guy that's managed to find a way to stick around the NFL for as long as he has.
I give him credit for that.
He's more, I would say, of I don't want to say an upgrade, but a better tackle probably than the backup left tackle, Vidarian Lowe.
Yes.
So either way, the 2 edge rushers, hopefully 3, hopefully Kayvon will be able to return, but at the very least, Brian Burns and Abdul Carter, they have a very good opportunity to just wreak some havoc on this offensive line.
That would be impressive if that does go down for the Giants, because what we know about the Pats, just so you guys have a little bit of an idea, yes, they're 10-2. Okay, but here's the thing. They have struggled immensely like the Giants have in the red zone offensively, and that's because their offensive line is not a power line. They have not been able to bully people down inside the 5 and inside the 10. They become very one-dimensional down there. And we've talked about this for years, okay? For years. If you don't have a strong offensive line, the red zone where everything gets compacted is going to be all that more difficult for you. And that is one of the very big Achilles heels on this Patriots team. Quite frankly, their defensive line is not very stout either. And when you look at why they have somehow miraculously used smoke and mirrors to get to 10-2, you look at the fact that they're second in the league in fewest missed tackles, so they're fundamentally sound and don't let people escape. 45 missed tackles. That's it.
Shocker on a Mike Vrabel defense.
Tell me about it. They only have 11 drops on offense. The Giants have over 24. All right, just by comparison, so you understand. They're not screwing up games. They're not in the business of giving out charity, even though it's the holiday season. That's not what the Patriots do. And that's why when they're in position to win these games, they do win these games. Also, the other number, 0 in turnover ratio. Anytime you can be 0 or plus, you're giving yourself a much better chance to win. That's it. It's really simple. And
they've just done a great job on both sides of the ball in key situations. I'm talking about third and fourth down. Oddly enough, you know, they're 12 games into their season. They also have their bye next week, similar to the Giants. But oddly enough, they rank on offense. They have the 7th best third down offense and the third best fourth down offense. On defense, they are ranked as the 7th best third down defense and the 3rd best fourth down offense. They have the same ranks on third and fourth down on both sides of the ball, which is kind of just crazy 12 games into a season. But it is in the red zone where they have struggled, as you mentioned. They come into this game ranked 19th in red zone offense. And here is an opportunity for the Giants to really take advantage because they rank dead last in red zone defense.
And that's because the line is not very stout.
And especially now that Milton Williams got placed on injured reserve last week.
Big loss for them. Big loss.
He was their primary reason why they come into this game with the 2nd best rushing defense in the NFL. Last week was the first game they played without him. Chase Brown had over 100 yards against them. That's not a coincidence.
Nope.
This came after, I believe, no running back had more than 58 yards against them in any game. And then they lose Milton Williams and Chase Brown goes off. So definitely not a coincidence there. The defense line definitely took a hit without him. So maybe this is an opportunity for Tyrone Tracy to keep it rolling. He's been on, a bit of a hot streak these last 2 games. And especially in the passing game, New England is one of the worst defenses in terms of slowing down opposing running backs in the passing game. I think they rank 2nd or 3rd most receptions allowed to running backs this season. So this could be a good opportunity, a big opportunity for Tyrone Tracy to have his, 3rd consecutive 100-yard game?
In terms of yards from scrimmage.
Yards from scrimmage, yes.
Yeah, you mentioned the running back, 65 receptions against the Patriots this year, coming into this week's action, 2nd most among defenses in the league. And also, quite frankly, tight ends, 76 receptions against their defense, also coming into the week, tied for 2nd most in the league.
Theo Johnson.
I mean, it's not hard. You want a game plan against this team, it's not hard. Okay, but it's about being clean with your execution.
For sure. But speaking of the tight ends, Theo Johnson, over the last 3 games, he has set new career highs in receiving yards twice. First, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and then he beat it this past week in Detroit. But over the last 3 games, he ranks, I believe it's 2nd or 3rd among all tight ends in receiving yards over the last 3 weeks. And I believe it's 15th overall in the NFL over the last 3 weeks in terms of receiving yards. He has looked, especially this last week in Detroit, that one catch where he jumped up and high pointed it, that was probably the best catch I've seen him make in his short NFL career. He is really developing into a great contested catch option in the passing game. Obviously, he's had his issues with drops this season, but I feel like the drops have come on kind of the easy passes, and then he's going up and making these really difficult, impressive receptions while contested. So
that's fair.
So hopefully, again, similar to what I just said about Tracy, this is a very good matchup for Theo to keep this recent hot streak going. Let's see if he can do it.
Now, the reason that the Pats in some ways have such good defensive numbers despite not having a very stout defensive line is because, quite honestly, they've been able to score very, very often thanks to Drake May, who has had a sensational season. They're averaging 26 points a game, 7th in the league. And by the way, he has one dynamite safety valve in Hunter Henry. Henry with 41 catches, over 500 yards. He's caught 5 touchdown passes. He has been a very important bailout guy when the protection breaks down. And that's where Drake May, obviously he's got Stephon Diggs there. Diggs, quite frankly, I'm not going to do this because I've been doing this now for the last 3 weeks. I've been going over some of the Giants' offensive numbers compared to the team they're playing. And the Giants' offensive numbers come out very favorable, certainly comparable, if not favorable. So I want you folks to understand, Wan'Dale Robinson's actually having just as good, if not a better year than Stephon Diggs is having. Just so you guys are aware of that. This is not the Diggs that was destroying people with the Vikings a few years ago. He's a little bit less of a player, but he's also coming off a horrible injury 2 years ago.
Yes, that's what I was going to say, that it was last year that I believe that he had the torn
he was with
ACL.
Houston, and he was injured with the knee.
His season got cut short, and the beginning of the season of this year, New England kind of eased him into action. You look at the first maybe month or so, he wasn't playing that much. He was getting targeted when he was out there, but he really his snap counts weren't that high. Those have increased as they've gotten further and further along the season, and he's gotten further removed from the injury. He's now playing basically a full-time role, and you're right that he's not quite the same as, the Stephon Diggs from the Vikings a couple of years ago, but he's looked pretty darn good most weeks. He is definitely the leading receiver for New England in terms of receptions and yards. I agree that Hunter Henry is definitely the safety blanket, but the thing that I found interesting is Drake May's really spread the touchdowns out to like all the pass catchers on the New England offense. Hunter Henry has 5, Kayshon Boutte has 5, but then Diggs has 3, Demario Douglas 3, Matt Collins 2. Then you get into Travion Henderson with 1 and other guys. But I don't know if you saw this stat. I saw this because of Dan Salamone upstairs, who's a big Dan Marino guy. But
I get it.
Drake May is only the second quarterback ever joining Dan Marino to have 9 consecutive games with a passer rating over 80 and leading the team to victory. Because the Patriots are obviously on this 9-game winning streak.
That's true.
He's had an 80-plus passer rating in every game. Second one to do it. The last one to have close to this many games was Lamar Jackson, who had 8 games with a win and an 80-plus passer rating. And that was his first MVP season back in 2019. So we mentioned Drake May in this MVP discussion. Obviously, he's got some stiff competition with that quarterback in Los Angeles that seems to have drank from the fountain of youth this year, Matthew Stafford. But he's firmly in the MVP conversation, and for good reason.
Yeah, I don't dispute that for 1 second. I think he certainly is a viable candidate. I think Daniel Jones is a viable candidate for the Colts. By the way, did you happen to notice? They said he had a sore leg, right? So he plays the game last week against Kansas City, and he's fighting a sore leg. And then afterwards, they check him out. And they say, oh, you have a fractured fibula.
That does not sound fun to play through.
Whoa! I am telling you, no, that does not sound the least bit fun. But certainly we wish all the best to Daniel as he continues to have a wonderful season with the Indianapolis Colts. Our number is 201-939-4513. If you'd like to give us a call, we will be here until 1:30. We continue to monitor the situation outside here at the practice facility. And it looks like we do have some information. It says here...
this is from our very own John Schmelk.
Yeah, John is out there listening to Kafka. He says, I don't know if this is actually a quote from Kafka or not, but he is indicating that Kafka has said Dart will get all the reps in practice now that he is back. And he is working his way back.
If you're getting all the reps, I would assume that barring some sort of setback, that would put him in line to start
You would
on
think.
Monday night.
Kafka has also said Banks and Newbin will be in full today at practice, so that's a good return for both of those defensive backs. And he, quote, feels good, unquote, about Dexter Lawrence making it back. So that's what we have at this point. Yes, without using the words Dart is going to start, I see here he says Dart doing well, working his way back.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume, again, folks, this is not 100%. We don't have the words Dart will start. We don't have those words. But I would assume, unless there's some type of setback, when you say the guy is working well his way back or doing well, I would assume he's on target. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, especially because on Wednesday, Kafka told us that both Jaxson and Jameis would be getting some of the reps with the first team offense. Right. Now, John is telling us that Kafka said that Jaxson is going to get all the reps. If they're not letting Jameis take first team reps in practice today, that makes me think they clearly expect Jaxson to be the one starting.
Yeah. So hopefully that will continue to be the case and everything will be exactly as the Giants are planning it. And on Monday Night Football, the country is going to get to see two of the more exciting young quarterbacks in this league be on opposite sides of the field. And I know this, not that anything the network feels is of consequence to those in the building, but I guarantee you the TV people would be very happy to have May and Dart doing battle.
Oh, yeah. I mean, any chance you have an opportunity to watch two up-and-coming quarterbacks. Now, obviously, Drake May in year two, obviously further along than Jaxson is as a rookie, but nonetheless, two up-and-coming quarterbacks on the younger side that, hopefully will be two of the faces of the league for the next decade plus. Fingers crossed, at least for Jaxson.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's definitely going to be one of the more entertaining quarterback matchups I think we will see all season. John, our end of things.
John also sends us a message that Kafka has said he's going to put new defensive coordinator Charlie Bullen into some live situations in practice to call plays. And that's a good thing to do. Coach Bullen told us a little while ago that even though he's never called plays before, during practice, he said when you're on the sidelines, you're part of the staff, you think like if you were maybe to call a play, how would you deal with this? What would you want to do? He said you always are preparing in that regard. So I get it. It's not the same, but Mike is going to do what he can to prepare him.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do for a guy getting ready to call deep plays on defense for literally the first time in his coaching career. But it was very clear from hearing Charlie speak, he's grateful and very excited for this opportunity. I mean, it is a chance for him to show, that he can do more than he has been doing as a coach in the NFL. I, for one, am excited for him. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think Charlie is probably the most personable position coach that at least I have encountered in my 7 seasons here in terms of how he's been around the building for these last, 2 season and a half. So I'm excited for him.
He also ran some tackling drills the other day at practice. He said, that you'll see that periodically sometimes. Sometimes they'll do individual tackling drills. Sometimes they'll do them as a unit with the team. He said that's something that you'll see every once in a while. They thought as a staff, and he, much like Kafka, talked about the cooperation between the staff. The staff has had a lot of universal input, if you will, with a lot of what these guys are trying to do as they've had to change some roles. Tim Kelly, of course, now being the OC, and Bullen now being the DC under interim head coach Mike Kafka. And he was saying that, as a staff, we kind of thought, what, maybe this wouldn't be a bad idea. Work on some fundamentals, work on some techniques with their tackling drills, because after all, the other day, again in Detroit, they had some very costly missed tackles.
Yeah, for sure. And I've seen on Wednesday, I saw a lot of people online making a big deal out of the tackling drills. I mean, it is something, as Charlie said, that they do sometimes. It's not like, yes, there is a reason why they did it this week after what happened in Detroit in terms of the missed tackling, but there have been practices throughout the last, at least since I've been here, 7 seasons, where they would just, do this a random week, practice their tackling. So, well, I understand some people trying to make a big deal out of it. It's not out of the norm for them to be, practicing tackling occasionally throughout the season.
All right, we'll go to the phones at 201-939-4513. Time for you guys to join in on the fun. We go to Marty from Manahawkin, and a happy late Thanksgiving to you and all the viewers and listeners out there. Thanks for calling in today.
Yeah, same to you, Paul, you and your family and everybody. Paul, do you have any information on this 6'6" tight end they brought in during the week? Anything, you have anything on that?
I did not see him out there today, so if he came in for a visit, he is probably just one of those ones.
International player.
Oh, the international guy he's talking about.
Maximilian Maine.
Oh, yeah. He came in a few days ago, didn't he?
Yeah, I believe that was on Monday.
It was a while ago. I'm sorry. We go day by day here, Marty. When you start talking about something that happened a few days ago, that's already in the rearview mirror. Yeah. What do I know about him? You're right. He is 6'6". He's a big guy.
He's huge.
I saw him walking in the hall the other day. Okay, but no, what do I know about him as a player? I honestly don't have any information.
Syracuse guy.
Yeah, me neither. I was going to say,
yes.
In 61 games across 5 seasons at Syracuse, he had 9 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown.
He's a blocker for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at him. You can tell he's a blocker.
But I mean, look, he's taking the extra practice squad spot you get for the exemption for being an international player. So, could he? This is clearly like a developmental project. We've seen the Giants have guys on the practice squad in that international exemption spot over the last couple seasons. So it's clearly I would say a long-term project where if he ends up contributing down the road, great. And if not, it's a pretty low-risk move.
Marty, the only thing, and I can't comment directly, I know that's probably more of what you want, but the only thing I will add is that they gave up the international spot that Jude McAtamney had.
Right.
That's that exemption spot. They gave that up. Jude was released so that they could put this tight end in that international spot. Now, that's probably because they signed the kicker, Saul.
Yep.
About a week and a half ago to the practice squad. So they had McAtamney, Saul, and Koo. 3 kickers in the building. That's pretty unusual, to be honest.
There were at least a couple of days where before Graham was put on IR where there were 4 kickers on the roster.
So they thought enough of this tight end's physical prowess, I suppose, that you know what? We got 3 kickers in the building. We don't need to do that. Why don't we just kind of swap out the kicker with the, for the tight end? That probably tells you something that they think there's something there. But I wouldn't be shocked if he plays this year. I can't imagine. I can't imagine he would play it before the season's over.
Yeah, it's a long shot, definitely. All right. Well, hey, thanks for the info. That's more that's been told about him than in the press. So I'm glad you.
Sometimes, Marty, these names just become that little tiny piece of transaction type in the paper, and unfortunately, you're right. We should probably do a better job of letting you in on some of those things.
I was gonna say the assistant coaches speak tomorrow, so that would be a good opportunity to find out a little bit more about him. But there was no replacement for Tim Kelly as the tight ends coach, so I don't know if he's going to go out there to speak since he already spoke today as offensive coordinator.
I don't think he's going out there.
So then that would be the guy to ask about Maximilian. So.
Anyway, thanks, Marty.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Take care. 201-939-4513. Just to be a little general here, we could tell you, and this is not a secret, every week during the season, they'll bring in, almost every week, they'll bring in a van, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, could have 6 guys who come in and they get a workout, they get an interview, they get a physical, and in a lot of cases, they'll swap out a practice squad roster spot. And so these transactions, they really do go deep under the radar. Okay, they really do. And that's no disrespect to any of those players, because for those guys, it means the world to them that they even got to step into an NFL facility. So I don't want to besmirch them in any way, but these transactions tend to be ones that go so deep under the radar that nobody really pays much attention to them. Now, on the other hand, sometimes guys are brought in during these visits during the course of the year because they're truly looking for that short list, figuring that if somebody gets hurt at a particular position on the roster, they need to be able to call somebody up right away. And they don't want to have to wait. They don't want to have to look around what's available. No, we know X player is available as a receiver or as a tight end. We got a need for it. We're calling that guy up. We're getting him in here Monday morning. And that's the way sometimes this goes. You're trying to find guys on the short list, and then other times you're simply looking to maybe swap out a practice squad player because you just think that there may be something there that you might want to have down the road.
Yeah, I was going to say, and, especially in a season like this, obviously the Giants are 2-10, eliminated from playoff contention. So it could be an opportunity, especially coming out of the bye, that last 4-game stretch, to just get a look at someone that maybe the Giants had some level of interest in, but never really had an opportunity to bring in previously, add that guy to the practice squad, have him in the building for a couple of weeks and see if there's anything there. Because as soon as the season's over, within 48 hours of the season's being over, it comes out that, Giants sign X amount of players to those reserve future contracts.
Right.
Those are the guys that typically finish the year on the practice squad. You'll see a lot of them sign those reserve future deals. So
no doubt,
it could be someone that the Giants just want to get somewhat of like a head start to get them in the building for thinking about next season and training camp, preseason, to see if they can sort of develop a guy like that into someone that could actually contribute and make the roster next year.
I think one of the things that I'll be looking forward to during the course of this offseason, and I don't want to really get too deep into this because we're not going to look ahead at the draft yet. But over the course of the last month or so, whether it's practice squad guys or guys who come in and maybe, get a practice squad spot, looking forward to 2026. I'm interested to see if they think they've got a developmental receiver. Cambry has played some special teams, gotten activated. We heard Coach Gobriel talk about him this morning, saying, hey, he works hard, he's smart, he's tough. We gave him a chance. He went in there, did what he was supposed to do, did his job, he was good at it. These are the kinds of things. Dante Miller, still on the practice squad, hasn't had a chance yet. I hope at some point he gets one, okay? These are the kinds of things that as you whittle down the end of your schedule, you want to keep these things in the back of your head and saying, hey, yeah, that guy did this, that guy did that. He had a chance to play, and look what he did. Because in the offseason, you're going to want to think, well, maybe he's a guy you're going to want to keep around and maybe give a chance to during the offseason program and say, hey, if you step up here, you got a chance to be something with us.
Yeah, 100%. By the way, just a quick update.
What do we have?
I just heard from Dan Salomon.
Yes.
It is confirmed that Mike Kafka said Jaxson Dart will start on Monday. It is
confirmed.
He confirmed it. He's getting all the first team reps today and tomorrow. Obviously barring some freak accident or whatever, Jaxson Dart will start Monday night.
Okay. Well, there you go. So now we do have the confirmation. Dart will start against the Pats. Well, that definitely makes the ESPN people happy.
I think it makes all of us happy. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter, on, some even analysts and stuff say there's no reason for the Giants to bring Jaxson back at all this year. Just put him on ice for the rest of the season. I, for one, could not disagree more with that because this is a rookie quarterback who has 7 games of experience under his belt. That's it. It's not like, if you want to talk about the Washington situation with Jaden Daniels, that one I can understand a little bit more because he had an entire full season last year, led Washington to the NFC Championship. Now they're in a completely lost season. I personally don't see much for Washington to gain with bringing Jaden Daniels back late in the season now. But for Jaxson Dart, he's literally only played 7 games in the NFL. As a rookie quarterback, you need to get as much experience as humanly possible. Obviously now, we want Jaxson to be safe when he's out there. We want him to, hopefully take less hits. Not every single opportunity he gets to fight for that extra yard or two. Some cases, as Tim Kelly just mentioned before, one of the biggest things Jaxson needs to learn is there's a difference between fighting for that extra yard with 8 minutes to go in the first quarter and fighting for that extra yard when there's 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. There's a big difference between them. So we want, obviously, everyone wants Jaxson to be smart, take less hits in these final 5 games, but it is so valuable for him to be out there and getting as much experience as possible because we want to see him next year take another huge leap. And to set himself up for that, he's got to face as much, experience, face some adversity, like get reps in now. So I'm happy that this is the route the Giants are going with Jaxson being cleared and immediately being put back out there because he's got 5 games left. I want to see him play well these final 5 games. Obviously, hopefully win a couple of games, but just get him out there, get more experience because that's going to help him next year.
Well, this will be his first primetime road game with the Giants.
Yeah. We remember what happened in the last primetime game. That was the highlight of the season.
Win over Philadelphia at home. Every experience when you're a rookie is a new experience.
Yeah.
And so there needs to be something that comes of it. You have to learn something from it. You have to gain something from it. If nothing else, just the opportunity to go through it. So I do understand all of that. Just as a matter of contractual information, Daniel Bellinger is a free agent at the end of the season. So is Chris Manhertz. So Theo Johnson will be here. But the other 2 guys are going to be unrestricted free agents at the end of the year. And now you have Thomas Fidone coming off an injury, which he's wearing a boot these days. Okay.
Also a 7th-round rookie that has not played much outside of special teams this year.
And I honestly, I don't question his toughness after coming off 2 ACLs at Nebraska.
No. Very tough guy.
I don't question Fidone at all. I know he will be back. But for sure, the Giants will want 3 tight ends on the roster going into next season. So they're going to wind up having somebody during the offseason. They got 2 guys under contract, Fidone and Johnson. They're going to want to have a 3rd tight end under contract. So maybe
even more than that.
Well, for sure, you probably have 5.
Go to training camp.
You go with 5.
Yeah.
But my point being, this is a chance to take a look at the international player at tight end. And, maybe he becomes one of those guys who sticks around on a reserve deal.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And so, again, just thinking ahead a little bit, that's the kind of conversation that you have when you talk about some of these guys who do fly deeply under the radar. Is there a chance that maybe he could be a guy you'd want to carry through the offseason because you're going to want to give him a spot or at least a chance to earn a back-end spot on the 53?
Yeah, I mean, that 100%, that will likely be, that sort of explanation will likely be the root behind some roster moves we see over the next, month plus. These last 5 games, 6 weeks of the season, there are going to be some moves that, we might look at just on paper and be like, well, that's interesting. I don't know how that guy is going to contribute this season.
Exactly.
But some of these moves are with an eye towards next year. And just real quick about your last point about every experience that Jaxson is experiencing now is a new one. That is a very good point about this being his first road primetime game because the Giants had 3 primetime games this year. 2 of them were at home and then this one on the road. And that's coming off of a poor season last year where expectations outside of this building before this year were not very high. With Jaxson playing the way he's been playing, hopefully a healthy Malik Neighbors, a healthy Cam Scadaboo, whatever other offseason additions the Giants make in the coming months, the Giants might be like a popular pick to like surprise teams next year, which could land them in more primetime games than we've kind of been accustomed to these last couple of years. So agree with you completely that Jaxson getting this experience of playing in primetime under the bright lights in an opposing hostile environment is a very good experience because he could be, he could have 2 or 3 games like that next year. So it's good to have him do it this year where obviously you want to win, but the stakes are not quite as high as hopefully they will be next year. So good experience for him. I'm happy he's going to be out there.
Yeah, I'll say this right now. With those 2 very exciting rookies and Neighbors coming back, I think the Giants will have at least 3 primetime games next year. It would not shock me if they even have 4. no matter what their final one-loss record is this year. That would not shock me at all.
Yeah, I mean, the networks want to see these young, up-and-coming quarterbacks. And through 7 games, Jaxson has looked pretty good in that regard. So,
anyway, 201-939-4513. We do have phone lines open if you'd like to give us a call. One thing that we did see yesterday during the Thanksgiving schedule, the Dallas Cowboys wound up beating the Kansas City Chiefs and put themselves back into the wild card race. That's part of the Giants division, obviously. It looks as though the Giants and Washington will be battling it out as the also-rans in the NFC East, because Dallas has suddenly somehow woken up, and in the last couple of weeks, they have asserted themselves as a team that at least you have to have a conversation about.
Well, I'm honestly not that surprised, because their offense has been playing at an elite level basically all season, and that was even with CeeDee Lamb missing a month of the season. It was their defense that has been the big problem in Dallas. And, props to Jerry Jones, because he went out there and made a couple of very big, aggressive moves before the trade deadline, bringing in some veteran players to help improve the defense. And when you combine them with some of the injured defenders that they have now coming back, almost half their defense is different from, week 5. Almost half of their starters on defense are completely different guys and kind of proven veteran guys that were not there earlier in the season. So it doesn't surprise me that they're, especially the defense has taken a jump over these last couple of weeks. I mean, Quinnen Williams is a very good football player. We know that. He is. We've seen him from not too far away playing at MetLife Stadium here. He is very good and has helped immediately upgrade their run defense, which I mean, every aspect of their defense was really struggling. So it doesn't really surprise me that they have catapulted themselves right back into the playoff race. It's still going to be an uphill battle for them to make the playoffs.
Yes, it is.
Because they're still behind several other very good NFC teams. I mean, the Lions are out of the playoffs right now, and they're still ahead of Dallas. So Dallas still has some work to do. The Giants will obviously play them Week 18, that could end up being a very big game for Dallas if they keep trending in this direction.
And quite frankly, also could be a possible flex game.
If the game ends up meaning something for Dallas and Jaxson continues to play well, then
it could.
Yeah, there's a chance.
Yeah. Just as you know, just so you know, folks, little FYI in discussing next year's schedule. Now, we know that there are 3 games that still need to be determined based on the final standings of the 2025 season. But just to give you an idea of what we were talking about in terms of primetime games that the networks may want when you're talking about a Dart, a Scatterboo, and a Neighbors and so forth. Outside of the division opponents, Giants have home games against Arizona, not so sexy. San Francisco, yes. Jacksonville, kind of, not really. Tennessee, not really, right? But then on the road, Indianapolis, oh my goodness, what a storyline there.
If DJ re-signs there.
What a storyline.
Giants versus
Giants at Colts. Yeah. That would be one storyline that some network exec is going to be foaming at the mouth to get.
Oh, yeah.
Giants are at Houston. Probably not that sexy of a game. Giants,
one of the
Rams
best defenses in the league. C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, Houston, not a great market, though.
True.
L.A. Rams, Giants at L.A. Rams.
Ooh.
You talk about New York, L.A.
Yeah.
That's a big-time market. So you could definitely see that as a possible. And we all know whenever the Giants go to Seattle, it usually does not turn out well, more often than not. But that is a West Coast, East Coast thing. And, I don't know that would necessarily be an attractive primetime game. I'm not so sure that it would.
We'll always have that Colt McCoy game in Seattle.
Yeah. Well, of course, the Isaiah Simmons blocked field goal, too.
Yeah. But then even the TBD matchups for the Giants that obviously will depend on where the Giants land in the standings in the NFC East. But they play on the road against the NFC North, same place finisher, which
who knows?
It's if the Giants finish in 4th in the division, that seems likely it will be Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota, if they're basically a quarterback away, which is kind of crazy because they just, spend a first-round pick on a quarterback last year. But if they decide to pivot away from J.J. McCarthy and bring in a veteran, that team is immediately a contender again. So that could be an appealing matchup for a primetime matchup. And even if it's not Minnesota, Chicago with the way they're playing, Lions, Packers, all of those would be great matchups.
Well, it's a tight division. There's really no way to tell exactly how that's going to shake out.
Yeah, I mean, the top 3 teams in that division in any sort of order could go 1, 2, and 3 over the next 6 weeks. It would not surprise me in the slightest bit. Now, the same place finisher in the NFC South, that's probably not the most appealing matchup.
No.
And AFC North, I think it depends. If Giants end up being matched up against, Cleveland, maybe not. I mean, it depends.
Probably
if they
not.
end up with a top pick and then end up picking, the top quarterback in the draft this upcoming year, or if Shedeur Sanders continues to, plays really well over these final 6 weeks and establishes himself as the starter, then maybe that would be an appealing storyline. But
there's a possibility there, I guess.
Point being, there are several matchups where we easily could see the Giants playing in primetime. So getting Jaxson as many primetime experiences as possible this year, when, again, the stakes are not quite as high, is just going to be valuable for him in the long run.
Yeah, because it wouldn't shock me if they give the Giants 2 NFC East primetime games.
Of course. Any of those games.
You know the way those games are.
Yeah.
Those are always attractive to the networks anyway. And so the point is there are some other non-division opponents that you could see a network wanting.
Yeah.
So that's what we talk about with that. All right, let's go back to the phones and let's see who else do we have here. I went and I blew it off the screen.
Rich in Virginia.
Hi, Rich. You're next on the show.
Godfather and Matt, always a pleasure. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope
You too.
Thanksgiving was great.
You too, Rich.
So a question we've advocated for years in, my conference call, Buds. Strategy coach. Even going back to TC in the TC days. Mike Kafka said the other day he's got people in the booth making those decisions, helping him out, et cetera, like when to challenge, et cetera. Do you know who's up in that booth, which coaches?
Well, if you're talking about the strategic guys involved in the 2-point conversions and the guys involved in the flags for the video review,
exactly.
Those are different guys who are not technically part of the on-field coaching staff. Like when you hear about tight ends coach, running backs coach, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know technically if we're allowed to talk about those people, to be frank with you. I don't know that we are.
I also I don't know who exactly.
Oh, I know who they are. I just don't think.
Exactly
I don't think we're allowed to talk about them, though.
Yeah.
Because technically they're not like in uniform coaches. They're
front office guys.
They're advisors and they're part of the booth. I don't know that we're actually allowed to identify those names, so I don't want to step out of bounds here, Rich.
Okay, I understand. I respect that. But what you're saying is they're not coaching staff per se. They are part of the staff.
Well, part of football operations. They're part of the football operations staff. They're not like, suits who don't have anything to do with football. No, that's not the case. They are part of the football operations staff. I just don't know that we're allowed to necessarily name them.
I mean, you can on Giants.com, everyone that's on the football side is listed there.
Yes. With
their titles, so you're more than welcome to go and, look at everyone that's listed there on the front office side. It's just we, as Paul said, can't just say exactly who is the one that's, buzzing down saying, hey, challenge that.
I will tell you this, Rich. There's a cooperative effort. Everybody up in the booth upstairs has a headset on.
Yeah.
And they do have ability to communicate with the coaches down on the sideline. And there will be times where you will hear the head coach will say, and this has happened many times in the past, well, the guys up in the booth were all screaming at me on the headset. We got to look at that. So it doesn't have to be just one person saying, I want that video review. There may be 4 or 5 people in that booth who are on headsets saying, you got to look at that because he was out of bounds.
It likely is more than one guy buzzing down saying, hey, take a look at that. Because if it's just one, then it's just one person's opinion. But if a whole booth up there saying, hey, take a look.
Then the flag's coming out quick.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, so what we say that is, in the military, it's called a collaborative effort.
Yes, that sounds good, Rich. I like that.
Do you know, by any chance, I assume they're making informed decisions or recommendations to MK, that they have a TV up there that replicates what we're seeing?
Well, this is another sticky point. All right, how can I delicately describe this? the video replay reviews that the coaches get upstairs in the box are no different than what you're going to see either in the stadium on the scoreboard or on the television replay that is on the monitors that are upstairs in the press box. They don't get a separate angle or a separate view or any kind of different replay than what's either available on the scoreboard or on the TV replay monitor. Okay?
Okay, that's exactly that. So they're seeing what we're seeing. So,
yes, they're not seeing anything different. Fair. Which, to be frank with you, there's a new system that the NFL put in place this year. They have cameras all around every area of the stadium, specifically for replays. The coaches are not tied into that system, so they cannot look at alternate views, even if they wanted to. But the league does have access to those views, and the replay headquarters at the NFL has access to those views. So I guess what I'm telling you is the coaching staffs of these teams, when they're sitting up in the press box, they don't have the full access to make a 100% clear decision. They have the same access that the fans do.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
That's good. All right, gentlemen, you guys rock, and keep up the great work that you always do.
Thanks, Rich.
Thank you,
Be
Rich.
well. David Smith 9 says, what are your predictions for the end of the year awards? I don't know if he's talking about the Giants awards or just the NFL awards.
I'm assuming NFL awards.
And it's way too early to... There are some great candidates for each.
Well, what are your predictions?
My heart says I want Daniel Jones to win the MVP, okay? How about that?
I don't know if that's...
I don't know if he will, but I want him to.
I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford for MVP because he clearly is the front runner right now, and I don't see the Rams slowing down anytime soon. I think they are on a fast track to the number 1 seed in the NFC.
I think you're right. I simply said I want Daniel Jones to get it.
I'll go Drake May.
But he won't. Drake May's a great pick too, Pearson.
New England guy going Drake May, that's a shock.
Unbiased.
It's also it's a very legitimate pick.
Crazy as Jonathan Taylor is an argument too. But
Jonathan Taylor is another great argument.
He definitely has an argument. It's just, as we know, it's become a quarterback award. So I think Jonathan Taylor will win Offensive Player of the Year because that seems to be the award that the best non-quarterback gets, even if he deserves MVP. But, yeah, that is my pick for Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, it's hard to say anyone other than Myles Garrett, who is on pace to, unfortunately, break Michael Strahan's sack record.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Hopefully he slows down, but the guy's getting like 4 sacks a game. It's crazy.
Who are they playing the rest of the way? Could you check that for a minute? I'd like to know because...
Not that it matters too much.
No, somebody's got to get in the heads of those left tackles and make sure he does not break it.
So he's got a matchup against Trent Williams this week. Okay. That's going to be tough for him against the 49ers.
That's good.
But then he gets the Titans. Not as tough.
No.
The Bears. Not the toughest.
No.
The Bills, who at least, granted, the Bills matchups in Week 16, but... Sean McDermott announced today that the Bills are without both of their starting tackles this week. Granted, again, that's 3 weeks later, so chances are one of them at least comes back. Deion Dawkins.
And Josh Allen does tend to run away from people.
Yes, although last week he got sacked career high 8 times.
I couldn't believe that.
Not great. Then he's got the Steelers and finishes up against the Bengals.
He's got a chance.
He's definitely got a chance because he doesn't need that many more, unfortunately. But you never know.
All right.
You never know.
Jan Bogacki 6134 says Jaxson Dart will take less hits now because he doesn't want to miss games, plain and simple.
That's certainly the hope.
I certainly hope he has learned his lesson because, look, if you ever watched the John Gruden quarterback class, and I think you have finally gotten a chance to see it, Gruden laced into him pretty hard and heavy. Kid, I don't like this. What the heck are you doing? You can't do this. Availability is the most important thing that I need as a coach. I need to know I can count on you to go out there and play for me every weekend. He couldn't have been any more open, frank, and honest. And yet, Jaxson, during the first half of his rookie season, I don't think the word reckless is necessarily appropriate, but let's just say I think we would all agree he's been perhaps too aggressive with his legs.
Yes. I mean, there have been, a couple of plays where you can easily, he sought out contact. He was there were a couple of plays, I forgot which game it was. There's one play in particular where he was running on the sideline, and it would have been so easy for him to literally just take one step to the left out of bounds. And instead, he initiated contact with the defender on the sideline, and he was fine, but that's just an unnecessary hit that, as a quarterback gets further into his career, learns to not take. I mean, Josh Allen as a rookie, granted Josh Allen's bigger, but as a rookie, Josh Allen took a ton of hits.
Yep.
And as he's, had more experience in the NFL, he has learned, in order to be available for his team every week, he can't take as many hits. And he doesn't take as many hits running with the ball. Obviously, if you're getting sacked or hit a quarterback hit in the pocket, there's not a ton you can do. You could try to get the ball out a little quicker, but sometimes, obviously, as we know, you got to stay in the pocket a little bit and take a hit in order to make a throw. But as a runner, Josh Allen has learned to take less hits. And while it might be a little tough to see Jaxson Dart doing that right now, just a reminder, he is 7 games into his rookie season. He will learn to do this, because we haven't heard from him yet. I'm assuming he might speak either today, or he will speak either today or tomorrow, but it's probably been killing him to not be out there with his teammates. And that's not a feeling that any athlete, anyone that's ever played sports, hates being hurt and not being able to play with their guys, with their brothers. So I would imagine that it's been killing him to not be out there, and hopefully a little bit of a learning experience to not quite take as many hits.
I'm just looking back at his college numbers. 393 rushes. And again, we don't know how many of those were scrambles or designed rushes, but that comes out to over 8.5 rushes a game.
Also, you have to keep in mind that counts all of the sacks.
Yes.
In college.
In college, they do.
Dumbest thing ever.
I can't stand that. I call college play-by-play, and I can't stand that they do that.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind.
Yes. That's probably double, what I'd like to see as you're an NFL quarterback. But anyway, it is what it is. All right, folks, before we go, quickly, I know Matt always posts all the stuff that comes up on Giants.com. Anything on the huddle this week that we should know about?
Yes, we actually posted it before we left for Thanksgiving, or before everyone else left. We're obviously still here. But John spoke to Javon Holland. That interview, the video is up. It got posted on Wednesday. I don't believe, Pearson, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe we're getting any new podcasts today.
Brian Hoyer will either go up today or tomorrow, just kind of a Patriots preview. And then, Holland went up today, this morning.
Oh, it was just today?
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
Okay. Never mind. It was not Wednesday.
But Javon has a great interview, talks about his interception last week and what the Patriots offense presents.
He is a big personality that obviously has a ton of experience facing New England, coming 4 years from Miami. So he knows all about the Patriots. Granted, this Patriots team, a lot different than the Patriots team from a couple of years ago. But
although Josh McDaniel is back, so,
that's true.
He's had his second tenure now with the Patriots. Anyway, that'll do it for today's edition of the program. Don't forget, the Giants are playing on Monday Night Football this week, so you can enjoy your Sunday watching all of the other teams around the league, whether you've got your special cable package or you have your local channels up. And we will be back once again, I believe, on Tuesday, correct? I believe Monday we are not going to have a show, right? Because we're short on staff.
There's no show since everyone's either going to be in Foxborough or wherever they work.
We're short on staff because we got to work the Foxborough game. So as a reminder, Monday Night Football, that starts, of course, was it 8:20 or 8:15?
I believe 8:15.
Yeah, 8:15 on Monday night Eastern time. So 2 hours prior, we'll have the WFAN Giants radio pregame show. Myself, Schmelk Barber, Tiki Barber. We'll also have the radio postgame show and the MSG Giants postgame show live. All that stuff is available. And, of course, you can always go to the Giants app if you're in region, and you can hear the radio call as well with Bob and Carl and Howard.
Yes, and just a heads up about next week, because obviously following the game, the Giants go on their bye week, finally, week 14. But I believe we have shows scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, and then no shows Thursday and Friday because everyone in this building is getting some much-needed little time off. a little break. So just a heads up, there will be only 2 shows next week.
Pearson, you can come in if you like.
Nah, it's okay. Go vote for the Giants for Pro Bowl, though.
Yes, Pro Bowl voting has begun. The Giants social account has been putting out a lot of posts. All you got to do is retweet if you have a Twitter account. 1 retweet equals 1 vote. So go vote Brian Burns, Jaxson Dart, whichever Giant you want. Go vote him to the Pro Bowl.
Andrew Thomas.
Get Andrew Thomas to a Pro Bowl.
Absolutely.
All pro and never made a Pro Bowl is crazy.
Andrew Thomas and Brian Burns should be automatics for anybody who doesn't
go vote
vote.
Those guys. Whoever else you might want, go vote him to the Pro Bowl.
All right. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. We come to you, as always, from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. For Matt Citak and Pearson Butler, our producer, I'm Paul Dottino. Again, happy late Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. And Giants football coming up on Monday night. Take care, everybody.